Relationship management is the key to unlocking your destiny. During the series entitled After I Did, Pastor Wayne Powell Sr. explores the connection between the quality of our life experiences and our relationships with others.
Welcome back. We're here again. This is, part two of Q&A. And so hopefully I had a wonderful week. We're going to pick up from where we left off last week. We answered two questions thus far. We're going to pick up from the next one to get it rocking and rolling. Of course, I'm here with my wonderful wife here, Michelle. So we're going to be here to do our best to answer questions. Remember that just the little caveat to this is that we don't really understand totally the context behind why people are asking the questions, but we're going to do our best to try to answer it in the way we believe the context is where it's coming from. And if we don't answer from the point you coming from, we apologize. Hopefully, and what the answer we do give can be helpful and a blessing to you as well. All right. So let's keep it moving. We have the next question is, what is the importance of including your partner in your spiritual life as well as your personal life to develop fruitful intimacy, and what would that look like? So what you think, Michelle?
I put you to start
So, all right. So when I look at this, is what is the importance of including your partner in your spiritual life as well as your personal life to develop fruitful intimacy? The first thing is, it goes back to the want to. Like, you both gotta want it. So it's hard to include people in something that you don't want. So, and that's the thing where I'm gonna use working out for example. I used to be a personal trainer. And back in the day, there were certain people who were easy to train. There were certain people that were harder to train. So what happened was, when you're talking about people growing, it's you can't make the other person grow. You have to. It's a personal decision. Like, you both have to want to grow. Like, there has to be a want to at the same level. So, for example, when you're training with somebody and you want to get somewhere in your training goals, you got to have somebody who are just as passionate and just committed to it as you are. So if you find somebody who's not as committed to as you are, it is hard to allow development to work because the commitment factor isn't there. So therefore, for like example, when I was training people, the people who wanted the healthy shape or whatever, but they wasn't committed to the process to get it, those are the ones who didn't stay with it. But the ones who was committed to it were the ones who got, and I couldn't make them commit. All I could do was provide the information, but the commitment and the drive had to come from within. And I can rah-rah and be an inspiration and come at you all day long, but you gotta want it. So what you think on that? What's your thoughts?
I agree. You can't force anything because then it's not genuine. So you got to let God work on that person through you, through the other person. Basically, if you're doing everything and growing and they see this in you or they see a change in you, that helps motivate the other person. It should, at least, if they, want to stay committed to you. Because in a relationship, the other person, with each other, you wanna make each other happy. So if growing, spiritually is if they see you growing spiritually and that's making you happy, that should motivate the other person. Again, if y'all are supposed to be together. Again, even it might start off they're doing it for you. You start off in the flesh, but then God, can grab hold of that and then help them to reel them in to growing spiritually and doing things and reading together, praying together, going to church together, things like that.
Yeah, and then also relationship styles can be different, meaning spiritual development. So we're gonna work through this a little bit. to see if we can unpack this and work this so we can see, hopefully we can give a well-rounded answer, because it's so much in this that I see. So, and just give different scenarios to it. So like, for example, with myself and Michelle, we don't really, you know, I know couples who pray together, and that's great, but Michelle and I, we don't really do a whole lot of praying together. That's just not really our thing. But what happens is we'll have our, because my mind's the preacher in me, and I'm sure people who are dear friends like the Evans family, they know I can drop a Bible study in the middle of riding a roller coaster. I'm just saying. You know, it's just the way I go. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I learned that about me. I try to, you know, temper it better, but I'm just saying that's just the way my makeup is, because I spend a lot of time studying the word, meditating on the word. So what happens is I'll go and talk to Michelle about the things I'm learning, break certain things down, or whatever. Even if we're going through certain things in life, I'll even bring out certain scriptures and stuff like that. So that's sort of how we work things. And then also she has her own teachers and people that she listens to. And then sometimes I even ask her, like, what did you learn from that? And see, and also Michelle is wired in a way, it's so interesting. It's amazing. I said, I don't understand, like, how can you even grow learning that way? So for example, when I asked her, I was like, how was the word today? She was like, it was awesome, great, amazing. I said, so what helped you? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. But I just know it was good. Okay, well, how do you even know if you don't remember what, you know? But then if I have my little moments, I mean, she'll regurgitate everything I said. I'm saying, now you want to remember. Now when we want to have a conversation, now you want to remember? Really?
Well, my thing is, I'm actually not a huge conversationalist. I'm a spur of the moment type person. Like he said, I'm not real good with planning, and it's, I'm getting everything. I'm a sponge. I'll get everything. I'm like a little recorder. I'm getting it all in. But then you ask me, oh, well, what did you learn? I definitely learned, but right then and there, I can't just regurgitate it right then. But I'm more of a hands-on. When something happens, then it's like everything that has been implanted in me. Now I can just it's like you just hit the record, you just hit the button, the play button, and I can now pull it all out and tell you everything that you said, and I can
Right.
know what to do or at that time.
Yeah, so that speaks back to where I had to realize that Michelle's learning style is different than mine. And it's for a reason. Like, God wired us that way. To me, it's not like she tries to be that way on purpose. And I'm trying, in other words, it's a reason behind that. And so sometimes we can get mad at people because their learning style is different than somebody else's. And so we have to give people room to understand that the way I learn is different than the way you learn and the way you retain. Because like I'm gonna use this whole thing with the whole ADD thing. See, I just feel like the world tries to give people labels on something that's really a different learning style than somebody else. And so the enemy tries to take a different learning style and let me label as negativity, to where now you begin to fight against your own way because I can't learn this way, not realizing that my mind, God wired me to hear it this way and process it this way. And so meaning there's really nothing wrong with me. And I think that sometimes the enemy will hinder us from even learning because I'm thinking that the way I'm learning is wrong. And then sometimes just being in that whole thinking space can actually kill your ability to even absorb and retain the information, because the enemy's convinced me that I can't retain information by labeling me with these ADD things. And once you title yourself that way, sometimes, and I'm gonna tell you something, your mind, okay, let me give you an example. And this is way left field, but trying to make the point about how sometimes our minds can even work with how we're, the thing I'm going after is that your learning style doesn't have to be negative. And so what happened was Brother Hagin, if you've been around his ministry or part, you would know who he is. He was a great man of faith way back in the day, got healed, all that great healing ministry. So what happened was when he would preach, he could tell these stories and he can tell it down to a T. Like he would say back in October 1955, 8 o'clock in the morning, it was exactly this and that. I mean, he'll recreate the scene as if. And so what happened was the Lord told him, he said, and this we were talking about, he said, look, the world in the world is you know, when people get older, they start talking about, I'm gonna lose my memory, I can't, all that. And so, and the Lord told him, he said, your brain and your memory is connected to your soul. It's your spirit. He said a lot of times, he said the enemy taught them that you can lose your memory at a certain age. And he said that's why people start losing their memory, not because it's supposed to happen, is because the world convinced them that was supposed to happen. So your mind began to submit to your belief that you can't hold your memory. So once he said, because remember, it says in your spirit, you know all things. He being standing word. So he said, my soul can remember and I'm clear and I have great memory. Why? Because my mind is renewed and it remains renewed day by day. So I can remember things and I can have a smart and a sharp mind. Even as my body ages, I can still have a sharp mind because my soul is not my brain. So meaning that now he never subjected his learning or outward things based off of what the world was saying. He did it off of knowing that how he processed was from God, not from what the world was trying to say. And so sometimes when we're trying to grow spiritually and learning, we have to understand that people have different learning styles and different ways of how they process growing. And sometimes we can hinder one another's growing because we're attacking each other in the way we learn. Because you're not learning the way I learn, then therefore you're not as spiritual as me. Mm-hmm. If you're not retaining the way I retain, then you must not. So in other words, then what happens is, and that's the other thing I want you, be careful with this. Like the way this question is being shared, it gives a connotation where you're looking at what your partner is not doing versus what they are doing. And the more you get over looking at what they're not doing, the enemy will get in there and he will work it. And he'll say, what else do you want to see they're not doing? They're not doing this. Well, give me something else they're not doing. And it's a never ending thing. And then now the relationship is in the name of doing something good, trying to make something work. Then, and I'm gonna tell you, that happened to me. I had a big thing. Michelle, she lost it that day. She'll tell you. Because me, I'm a guy where I was in that mental space of gotta be perfect, perfectionist. I'm gonna tell you the danger of perfectionist, but when you work on being a perfectionist, it makes you negative by nature. Because it forces you to always look at what's wrong with you because you're trying to be perfect. And so everything's about putting attention to the negatives in the name of being perfect. So the intention is good, but the application is wrong. So now I'm up there in the name of being perfect. I'm up here in a sense where you don't even realize it. You all of a sudden have this critical spirit. So because of now, I'm critical of everything. But I was looking to be perfect. The intention was to be perfect, but I became critical of everything in the name of being perfect. That's the dangers of working with one another when it comes to, growing and everything. So that's what happened with Michelle. I would always point out everything she wasn't doing, this and that, whatever. And then what happened was, which was real deep, like we found out, it tied to some of the things in the way she felt like her dad related to her. And so it hit that pain button. And one day she threw that pocketbook down and that pocketbook moved all different types of ways. I said, I felt sorry for that pocketbook. Nothing I ever do is right in your eyes. And I'm saying, oh my God. It's like in that moment, I said, my heart has been misunderstood because of my focus and my application and my intentionality. So you can have the right intentions with the wrong intentionality, I'm saying. In other words, my intentions was to make things better, but I put intentionality on what's wrong. So therefore, it killed my real intentions. So you want to add to that, Scott?
Well, yeah, basically, I mean, you said it all basically. And I did the same thing with my youngest son, Jaden. I was helping him with a project, and I can be very like perfect because I'm a graphic designer. So when it comes to creativity and art and all that stuff, I'm, and that's not necessarily what he does, but I'm trying to help him with a project, and he wasn't doing it the way it's his project now, the way I thought it should be done. So, I kind of said something about how he did it. He got upset. or whatever. And he started laughing over here because he's like, yeah, Jaden got it on you because.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And I talked to Jay, and like, you can't be fussing at your mother. Like he said, and he told me, see, I lost it when my mother called me stupid. And
I didn't call him stupid. I said how he was doing it was stupid.
Right, so, but he heard.
Yeah, he heard me say.
Right, and that's what you heard in the moment. And because again, the graphic designer, and Jaden's creative too. Like, so they're like two peas in the pod. Like they he has it in his mind the way he wants it. And then in the house. So now you're at war with the creativity. Both want to be great, but it's through their own expression. And because it didn't fit her, and so that's what I'm saying. And sometimes that's what happens when in the area of relationships and wanting each other to grow and all that. And so I'm saying is, yes, it is important to grow together. But the thing is, you both want to have to grow. Like, and I'm saying, once you want it, really want it, I'm trying to tell you, you will find ways to grow when you really want it. So let me tell you this, and this is not in the questions, but all commitment is tied to value. So in other words, the more you see your value, the more committed you will be to a thing. But so if you don't really see your value or the value in that relationship, that's why the commitment level is low. So if you see your value in yourself, then your commitment to grow will be high. If you don't see your value in yourself, then your commitment level will be low. So sometimes before you attack them over what they are not doing in their spiritual walk of their life, make sure you understand that sometimes the hindrance isn't them not wanting to grow. Sometimes that's just where they see their value. And it's a question of value versus more so them not wanting to grow. Because I found, and this is what Jesus said, with the measure you meet with all, it will be measured back to you. In other words, the level of commitment you give to it, that's what you're going to get back to it, which means what you're willing to pay for. But what decides the price tag? Value. So if I don't see my value, then I'm not willing to pay the price for my spiritual development, personal growth. So, and that's what I've learned in my years of working with people in ministry and stuff like that. Because I always had like, how come they won't put, and I found out that either they don't see the value in the thing or don't see value in themselves for them to be willing to pay that price. Because all prices will be paid off of the value you see in the thing. Also,
I mean, you say it all the time, and you have to talk to the king or queen in that person. And the Bible says, call those things that be not as though they are. So if you want something from that person, as far as want to pull something out of that person that is there, then talk to it. Talk to that. You're a great man of God. Or when we first got married, he was horrible with finances. His finance, he was horrible with finances. And I basically didn't speak to that. I to other people. I would always talk about, oh yeah, he's doing great, and this, and I would always talk about what even though we might have not had it or whatever, I will always speak to it as, oh yeah, he's bringing in a lot, or he's doing this, or he's doing that, and oh yeah, he's great with his finance and things like. I did not talk down on it. I mean, it took time. It took time, probably because
woman of faith.
Yeah, because probably also because I had to convince myself of it. Because here I'm living it, and I'm seeing the finances, and I'm seeing him the spending. I basically, my dad was a spender, my mom was a saver. I married a spender. I'm the saver. So I had to endure that, but I had to, instead of talking down on it and getting on them, and you spending too much or you doing this, I had to basically cover him. Basically, as his wife, I'm his helpmeet. I'm here to help. So where he was weak in finances, I had that. I understood that. So I had to cover him in that, and I had to speak to that because I know it's in there. I had to speak to that until finally, things got better. I mean, it's still a work in progress with both of us, but I'm saying you just have to speak to what you want. Don't talk to what you don't want. You talk to what you want.
Right. So they asked him, what would that look like? And that's what that looks like. Because again, it takes faith to do this. So in other words, when you're talking about pulling out the best in people, you have to do it by faith.
Yes.
Okay. So let me give you an example of what I'm saying. Let me see. We got 5 minutes, man. Okay, so this I'm gonna use this text. So Peter. So when Judas came to the guard, brought the soldiers to the Garden of Gethsemane, and okay, let me back up. So the thing was, when we're talking about helping people in their spiritual development, remember Jesus had to help his disciples in their spiritual development. And let's watch Jesus model on how he did it. And so what he did was that first when he said, Peter, I no longer call you Simon, low in spirituality, I call you Peter. While you're still low in your spirituality, I'm going to speak to the Peter in you. And then therefore what happened was nothing's really changed if you watch the video. Because so now fast forward, a few weeks later, months, whatever that time had went by, then he goes by and Judas brings the soldiers to the Garden of Gethsemane, points out Jesus. Peter steps up and he cuts off the ear of one of the soldiers. And Jesus didn't say, no, Simon. Even though he's acting like Simon. He says, no, Peter. He said, you die so live by, you die but you live by the sword, right? So what was he doing? Even though he was acting out of his lower nature, he still talked to his higher one, in essence, to help bring him up. Even though he still betrayed him that night, everything, but he still called him Peter. So what I'm saying is that you have to now, which brings us to another place, and I guess we have to finish off here because we've got like other questions. We can't open these up. If we did, it'd take too much time. So we're gonna finish. We'll finish off with this one here for the last 4 minutes that we got. Man, so I don't even want to tell you the question because then I'm like, man, I don't need y'all to answer that. So it says. So the next question is, what would you do differently to prepare yourself for your romantic relationship? See, I can't open that up right now. That's gonna be like another 20 minutes right there. So we'll have to come back and just add these on. We'll continue to work through these on the future podcast or what have you. Anyway, so I just want to say this, and this is going to be a key component to our relationships and everything, and this is what's going to make it so important. Especially when it comes to like just answering that question and how to work through it. It's something that's really missing in today is honor. Honor is really going to make all processes go a lot easier. So what I mean is, we work with so many people. Let me tell you, we would tell them to talk nice and try to say it this way. We try to tell them like, this is how you should frame, this is how you should say it. But once you already seen him as a monster, it controls your tone. Like you can't outwork the tone because the honor is gone. So they have to realize that in that question about the spiritual and the personal development is that the enemy loves to character assassinate one another in our heads. So even if I'm trying to do the right thing, once I've deemed you as a certain person in my mind, even though I'm trying to help you do the right thing, it's going to, like I'm giving you water, but it's bitter because it's coming off from a place of no honor. Because I receive, this is my phone, because we receive how we perceive. So the woman at the well, she was very rude to Jesus, but then Jesus said, go get your husbands. And he said, you've been 6. He said, the one you with now, the 6 one you with now, you living with, that's not your husband. She said, I perceive you to be a prophet. Once she perceived differently, she was able to receive. So the enemy loves to, and that's what you have to realize in marriage and in relationships, familiarity is the destroyer of honor. What I mean is there's a treasure. It says, Jesus said treasure. The kingdom is like a treasure hidden in the field. Meaning that everybody has a treasure in them. But you have to realize as a coal miner or people who are going after the treasure, they got to deal with the field. And they don't mind dealing with the field. Why? Because they're focused on the treasure. Because again, when you are so focused on the field, you'll never get to the treasure. Because the treasure is Paul said, regard no man after the flesh. That's what he's talking about. He's not saying don't be aware of the issues. He's basically saying that if you're going to help people, you got to see the treasure. If you're going to pull out the best in them, you got to see the treasure. You can't look at the field and expect to help you grow together and go through transformation and all that kind of stuff. Satan says, focus on the field. God says, if you focus on the treasure, I'll help you navigate the field. But the reason why we don't navigate the field, because we're so focused on the field, and we're not even thinking about the treasure anymore. And therefore now I'm trying to do a good thing in the sense, but it now is being killed because I'm so focused on what's wrong with you that need to be fixed versus figuring out how to actually get to the treasure in you and pull it out and maximize that. And that's one of the beauty things in relationship. We can do that for one another. That's what partnerships do. We pull out the best in each other. That's what friends do. We pull out the best in each other in the styles. That's what marriage is supposed to be. We're supposed to find ways to honor, but familiarity is that your field is tagging me. And your tagging, it bothered me to where now I'm more focused on what your field is doing to me more so than the treasure that's in you.
And that's what Satan does. He wants you to focus on the bad and focus on. So the thing you just have to be on purpose. Focus on the things that's good. Focus on it. It's the same thing he does with your body. You know, when your body might be going through something, Satan will put it on you just so you will focus on it, just so you can't think about what God is saying about, no, you're healed, you're healthy, you're healed, you're healthy. He wants to put the pain on you and stuff so you can take focus off what God says. So it's the same thing. Your husband or your wife might be acting a fool that day or whatever. He wants you to focus on that so you won't see the king or queen in them. Don't look at that. That's temporary. That's temporary. He is focused. You get what you focus on. So if you focus on the crazy, you're going to keep getting the crazy. But if you focus on the king or queen, you'll get that. It might not happen instantly, but focus on it. You get what you focus on. What it lives. Whatever you focus on lives. If you want it to die, don't focus on it.
So, and that's what we're talking about. In reality, it requires trusting God. If you're struggling to trust in God, what I'm saying to you is like, I hear you, but I already did, and I get that. So I want to, speak to the other side of it, because I was talking to Mike with Dog Culture, and I was saying about how in defenses have to play together, and we were talking about saying if there's a guy that's playing that you don't trust, you're going to be focused on his assignment and not totally focused on your assignment because I don't trust you to do your job. So the whole thing is the reason why I can focus on the good because I'm trusting that God will help with the bad. But if I'm not trusting God to help with the bad and those things, I won't focus on the good because I don't think that God is going to really help or really God's not going to get in there and work by focusing on the good. So, and the Bible says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, which means that there's a certain type of focus for faith to work. And the Bible says, fight the good fight of faith. What am I saying? Where is the fight? Lay hold on eternal life. What does that mean? My faith is going to be under attack. Basically, what does that mean? My focus will be under attack. Don't focus on the treasure. Focus on the field. That's where my faith is going to be under attack. As I focus on the field, basically, I'm not fighting the good fight of faith. I'm fighting the hard fight of doubt and unbelief. But fighting the good fight of faith is I'm laying hold on the treasure and focusing on that, and God will show me how to work through the field as I focus on the treasure. All right, so we'll hit the pause button there. That's all we're going to do for today because again, we don't want these things to go too long. So we were 20-something minutes in. All right, well. Today, hopefully, this has helped somebody. We covered. I try to cover so many different angles, situations, scenarios, but maybe you got something out of it, and I pray that you did. And so, with that being said, God bless you. Again, this is our Relationship Wednesday after I did, and so just to really help us navigate the relational landscape. And so, from us, Michelle and I, God bless you and have a wonderful week.
Thank you for joining Pastor Wayne Powell Sr. for this edition of Relationship Wednesday. We hope you enjoyed this episode of After after I did. Let's keep the conversation going by leaving your questions and comments in the chat. We also invite you to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you are reminded to join us next Wednesday as Pastor Wayne continues this discussion of After I Did.